So I got to ask you something else, Ken. It's been weighing heavily on my mind, and we had Mike on, a guest, and he was talking about somebody. I was actually talking about a house that I lived in downtown in the city that we're in right now. It was an old house. It was scary. It had a big coal chute in the wall as you went down the basement, and it was creepy as could be. I never really saw anything there, but the neighbors said they saw things here and there. Right? Well, he was talking about a house in Valley City. Oh, I just said the name. Oops, sorry. But we're going to have ghost hunters everywhere out here. But no, he said that he had a friend that lived in that. He described the house and everything else there, and it was the house that I was living in. And he had a friend that lived in that house. And I thought, what a weird coincidence that he was seeing ghosts and stuff, and the door was opening and shutting and things like that. And I felt weird in the house, but I never really saw anything, unusual like that. I probably, in my own head, I cooked some things up. But then I was talking to you, sir, the other day, and you actually go, is it this house? And he knew my neighbor across the street. And tell us a little bit about that. But it was the same house. Now, this is the big trifecta, right? So tell us a little bit about what you heard happened with the house there.
Well, that house, is it okay if I give you the address and the street it was on, or you rather not?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah, I know. Who's living in it now?
Yeah.
Who knows, but...
I met the people that were living in there in the park. I was walking in the park not too far from there. And somehow or another I got to talking with this lady and her kids and found out they were living in this house. Anyway, so it's, you already spilled the beans. It was in Valley City. And there was a gentleman named Albert Riggy who was killed in that house by his girlfriend's mother. From what I get, the two were arguing, and they claimed that he was getting physical. So the mother retrieved a firearm and ended up shooting him in the head. And this happened in 1986. So I don't know when you lived there. Was that after 1986 when you lived there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was quite a bit after.
Maybe this person, this Albert, is still hanging around. But the shooter's name was Joyce Barker. Well, the press at the time called her Ma Barker because of the gangster. Now, she ended up getting a lawyer. And his name was Richard Marco. And at the time, he was, let's say, a connected type of a lawyer. And he only handled high-profile cases. And he ended up getting her off, actually. So when it was all said and done, she left the area and moved away. But she went on trial in 1986, and like I say, got off and went away. That's the short version of the story of the house that you used to live in. How about that?
That was something.
So Tim, you never saw anything there, though, but other people have at other points in history.
I think the guy that maybe was shot in the other section, because the other section was an add-on that was built in like the 1920s. And mine was like the late 1800s. So it was, I used to go over and visit the neighbors, and it was, if you want to say modern as 1925, but it was a lot more modern than the side I was living in. That side was freaking like, you walk down the stairs next to that coal chute, and it was like you were staring into the bowels of hell. I mean, it was scary. And I never forget the one time we had a storm and the power went out. You had to go down the steps across the basement, and it had a centrifugal, where the water goes down, didn't have a sump pump. It had a centrifugal drain in there. And, it's just old school. A 7-foot ceiling, maybe 6.5 feet. I kind of had to duck down a little bit. But the switches for the electrical, it wasn't a fuse box. They had upgraded it to the breaker switches, but it was in the fruit cellar. It was pitch dark, and I'm down there. I think I had to have a flashlight. Went down there and went. But I'll tell you what, man. When I got that thing, I flipped that breaker. I think one foot hit the step on the way back up there. It felt like every hair on the back of my back and the back of my neck was standing straight up. But I think what happened is maybe on the other side is where that the murder took place, and I think that's probably why that side was allegedly, haunted or what have you.
That particular house has got the same address, but the address that he was killed in it has one half after it. So I guess that's what they used to do in cases like that, where they put it maybe an add-on. So it was blank, 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 blank and a half. And that's where he was killed.
Well, there were 3 different apartments there when I was there, and they went by, it was A, B, and C.
Okay.
So maybe they changed it. You know what I mean?
Well,
after that happened.
In the police reports and all the ad information, it says one half. So, and I think it was on the second floor, I believe, where he was shot.
Well, then it might have been in the back. It might have actually been, there was a garage in the back with a apartment over top of it. So that wouldn't have been, it was on the property, but it wasn't in the same structure that I was in. But I did hear my neighbors talking about weird things happening with the doors open and closing. And that's what Mike was talking about too, how the doors they'd latch it and in the morning it would be open again.
But what's the chances of you having lived in this house? I did some investigating on that because I was contemplating maybe writing a book about Medina crimes and unsolved murders and this type of a thing. And that was one of the events that I kind of studied up on. And then to find out that you actually lived there. That's it was really strange in itself.
Yeah, and then to have 3 different accounts from 3 different people about the address that I was living in. I mean, I know it's a small town, but that's still a little bit strange. You know?
It is.